if you want to get to know a really, really cool lady in the real estate industry, this conversation with Barbara Golden was really good content about how she went from being a postmaster all the way through being a successful real estate agent. And the real magic is how she bridged the gap between the two. I really think you'll enjoy this conversation and really enjoy Barbara, so tune in. This is the residential real estate series at the Arena, and today we have Barbara Golden, which is a very cool name, by the way. Like,
Right.
it's a
You're
really cool
golden.
name.
It's a good real estate name.
It is a really good real estate name. So like we talked about, these segments are part of it is to help promote you. So we really want to let the audience know who you are and how you got in the real estate business and what the real estate business means to you. So let's start with that. So how did you get into this game?
Well, I wanted to retire from the post office. Okay, I retired as a postmaster in 2017.
And how long did you do that?
I did that for almost 25 years.
Wow.
Yeah, retired early, but
Interesting story. My wife's grandfather was a postmaster in Napoleonville,
very cool.
and he knew every single person in Napoleonville
And their business.
and everything. And it was like, he did it until he was 80 years old.
Yeah. Oh, awesome.
Yeah, he did it for a really long time, and it was really cool to kind of hear his stories about it. It's a pretty cool job to have.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so that, I retired. I started delivering mail. I worked in safety, worked in the garage, giving out car parts for all the trucks and stuff like that. And then, but mainly I delivered, and then I went into management, right? So I retired from Springfield Post Office.
Oh, nice.
And it was great. Great ride, great way to raise my kids and everything else. But I knew that I wanted to get out of there as soon as possible. And how was I going to survive after that, right? Because I knew I still had to work. I was retiring early, taking that cut in my pension. And I said, I always wanted to go into real estate. Didn't know the first thing about it, but I had a couple of friends that sold real estate. So, so I jumped in, learning for like the first year. I immediately got a coach.
Cool.
And because I was in my late 50s, people thought I had been doing it a long time.
Yeah.
So the coach really kind of propelled the business, right? So
Who was the coach? Oh, yeah.
the coach was a guy named David Beckham.
Okay.
And
He
learned
plays soccer
soccer, too?
and he
Yeah,
was
right.
okay.
Y'all didn't know. So he's out of Alexandria, and I think I was probably one of his first students. But it was very cool because it just pushed me ahead of the game, right? And so I started selling real estate and never looked back.
Yeah.
People thought I was crazy because I was giving up the cush
Steady,
job, the steady income, the 9 to 5. But honestly, I was just like, I'll make it.
Yeah.
I'm going.
Figured out. So the coach, was he a specialist in some area of the business, like working with new agents, or was he just kind of helping you from A to Z, or did he have a process?
Yeah, he was a lead gen coach.
Okay.
So he put me on the phones. So I was dialing for dollars for 3 years. And I always say if I would have listened to what he told me to do, instead of doing like 1/4 of it, if I would have done like 75%, I'd have been doing really well. But the first year, dialing for dollars, I had 10 deals just from making phone calls.
Nice.
And besides the rest of the business that I created. But it was very, very good.
Let me ask you a question. If you were still working at the post office and got your real estate license, could you like slide your card into every person you gave mail to?
Right.
Federal offense, Jared.
Yeah.
Federal offense.
I mean-
we're
But it is a
not
thought.
recommending that anyone tamper with U.S. mail.
But I do know mailmen who know people who sell houses.
Great.
And so those mailmen carry my cards with them in the Covington area.
Wow. Okay. Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it's always interesting to me to see what a real estate agent comes from to get into real estate.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because most of them, especially like, you're a bartender, right? And you get your real estate license and you start meeting a couple people and you end up working with the clients, and eventually you get busy enough. You're like, I don't need the bartender license anymore. I used to be a real estate agent, but not realizing that your pipeline was because you were a
sphere of
bartender
influence.
that
Right.
allows you to get where you're going, right? And so I was thinking in my head how you kind of parlayed that into your real estate career. But are you saying that the network you had as a postmaster helped you in your real estate business?
Absolutely. So yeah, I have carriers, and your carrier knows everything about you pretty much. They know everything about you. You'd be surprised.
Really?
Now you're going to look at your mailman in a different light, right?
Yeah.
And so, so they're like my Zillows. I have a bunch of Zillows out there.
That's great.
I
Across
love
St.
it.
Tammany Parish, Tangipahoa Parish, and they give out my cards to people who are selling.
That's incredible.
So I
Man.
did more listings in the beginning than anything because I had them out there for me. But
So easy answer. Work for the post office for how many years? 25?
right, 25.
30
You're
years.
good.
And then,
You're good.
then go into real estate.
Then go into real
It
estate.
works.
Yeah. So, and and how long you been an agent for?
8 years.
8 years now. So me and you were like on similar tracks. I got into the real estate business in 2016, which was 8 or 9 years ago. And because I remember
9.
soon after I got in the business, I heard your name. Ken Schellenberg is a really good friend of both of ours. Always mentioned how much he enjoyed working with you. And so I guess my question was going to be, how much of it did you attribute your success early on to the coaching or the sphere of people that you were doing business with?
I think, you need several pillars, right? So that was just a pillar, right? So I have the pillar of sphere, the pillar of cold calling, and the pillar of the network through the post office.
And you intentionally set your business up that way? Or it kind of happened? But
It kind of happened. I didn't realize it was a sphere until my coach pointed it out to me.
Sure.
Because, being new, and then you hear people say, do you want to work with buyers or sellers? I'm like, anybody that wants to
work
sell
with
a house,
anybody.
right? Isn't that the right answer? But now, did you correct me? 9 years? Are we in this 9 years? 8 years, 9 years?
I did the math quickly.
Right. So now that I'm into it, I realize that there's several different ways. And, I love working with just listings mainly.
Yeah. Okay. So your primary focus is on listings.
Yeah, especially now.
But obviously you work with buyers too.
Correct.
What does your team look like? Are you doing the transaction coordinating and the actual negotiating, all that yourself?
Yeah, I'm just solo.
And you prefer to do it that way?
Yes and no. Sometimes I thought, let me get on a team because I can work with somebody all day and we can hang out and we can do this and we can do that. But that's not really how it works. I guess I just had this, I dropped the coach years ago. I should have probably kept him ongoing, but he could have saved me some time, money. Yeah. But anyway, so now I'm solo, do it all by myself.
Yeah. And it's funny because, a lot of the agents around here are doing that, right? They join a team for a minute, see if they like it, and they go back on their own. And me and Lauren like talking about operating systems, about how businesses grow and scale. And most people don't realize they have an operating system, but everybody does. There's a way in which you operate your business. And, it sounds like when you mention the pillars and the way you market, and it's very clear that you have a system in which you stay in touch with your clients. And you like to do the listing side of the practice, but you also have buyers too that come up, and you do the transaction coordinating too.
Right.
And you don't claim to be organized, but I know you well enough to know that you are an organized human being.
Yeah, I struggle.
Yeah. But
To do what you do, you make it work.
for sure. It is.
We get to see the back end, right?
that's
we get
true.
to see under
That's
the hood
true.
of the transaction.
And as I was just talking
last
to
one.
an agent or a lender a second ago, and we were talking about ideal clients and like who you like to work with and how you build a profile and how you build a plan on talking and speaking to those people. And it all is all even, and he didn't realize that he had a system in which he was doing that, but he already is in a way doing that. And it sounds like you're doing very similar stuff. So out of all the areas of business that you've done, right, the listing side, working in you were in Springfield, right, which is Livingston Parish, all the way. You do business in Slidell.
Right.
I know that. What area of the business do you enjoy the most? Like what area of, is it listings? Is it first time home buyers? Which area do you enjoy working with the most?
So recently, as much as about 3 years ago, I started working specifically with seniors, and there's different groups of seniors. There's the young old, maybe 55 to 65. Then there's the mid old, 65 to 75. And then there's the old. So I'm in the mid old range, because in St. Tammany Parish and in South Louisiana, for the most part, we have assisted living, and independent living is in with assisted. But most bigger cities have a thriving 55 plus communities. They have just 55 without the assisted living component, right? So a lot of your young old, the 55s to 65, they're downsizing into these thriving 55 communities, which we do have one at Copeland Towers in Metairie, right? And so, but for the most part in St. Tammany, most of our senior communities are assisted living with an independent component, but when you walk in, you see mostly assisted living. Yeah. So therefore, the people who move into senior communities in our area are pretty much probably 75 to 85-ish.
Gotcha.
So that's my specialty because I just think they need the safety and protection and assistance as they get older, and I want to help them in that area. So, yeah, I love listings, and I mostly work with that group, that age group.
Yeah, and you know, the more you spend time with them, you learn about the things that really make them move, or the things that they're going to run into that they have to deal with as they move. And you know, we deal with people family members who have passed away, and they're dealing with the emotional side of stuff and selling homes and things like that. And whatnot. Honestly, lately I've got a lot of, you know, my family member wants to move into a medical facility or a community, and they want to talk about they want to talk about Medicaid, and they want to talk about government benefits. And so having the education around that to know whether they got to sell their house.
Oh my gosh, right.
Or do they have to sell it before they move? Do they have these assets? What are they going to do with those things? And even not knowing the answers to the questions, but knowing that that's something you have to deal with, and I can point you in the right direction, is huge for that group, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So about, I want to say in 2022, Ken Schallenberg, who we were talking about
Comes
earlier.
Ken again.
Yeah, he seems like a daily thing here.
Are we gonna like flash Ken's head up? I feel like we need
not with the wig, but
and the guitar and the bread.
So Ken texted me from a seminar. He is the photographer at their conference every year in Oklahoma. I mean, I think they've done it in different places around the country, but this time was in Oklahoma. He's like, "You got to get into this. This is you all over it." And I think at the time he knew I had an aging parent that all my brothers and sisters we were pitching in and caring for, right? And I thought, wow, that's incredible, because what it is, it's education seminars for seniors so that they can have the information at their fingertips without the sales pitch.
Yeah.
You know, because let's face it, if anybody's watching this or listening to this and they're over 65, they know how many phone calls, how much mail you get on a regular basis pitching you for all those services, right? And so Ken told me about this Senior Real Estate Institute in Oklahoma. And so I immediately got online, met with them, enrolled in the classes. So now I'm a certified senior housing professional. And I just recently, I'll take the test this week, on senior downsizing coach.
Cool.
Awesome.
Because everybody gets caught up with their stuff and what to do with it. And hearing the lines, it's just like knowing a script almost, you know, because you hear the same things over and over. You know, the same rebuttals when you're cold calling.
Yeah.
It's a lot of the same with the senior field. You hear the same things, and it's how to walk that person through it, you know, or how to tell your people, you know, maybe their kids who are in their 50s and 60s, if you hear this line, you know, call me.
Yeah.
They need a coach.
Yeah.
They need a consultant. Oh, now they need a real estate agent.
I'm about to connect you with my mother. They just got a
met your
smaller
dad.
house, and she is still struggling.
Oh, yeah, it's hard.
It is, you know. When
It
you have
is
to
hard.
start realizing what you're getting rid of, right? Or
Yeah.
parting ways with. It's a challenge.
Yeah, and people think that you know, you don't have to get rid of the gift to get rid of the giver. You know, so just you know, you can't pack memories in a box.
Yeah.
You know, so you have the memories with you all the time, right?
That's true. Well, that's great. We always look for one little nugget of gold, but I think we just hit it today.
It was golden.
Yeah.
was
Like
golden.
Barbara Golden.
Had a little nugget of gold. That was great. So let's just give people a general understanding of what your seminars are, and then I want to talk about the different professionals that you kind of employ to be a part of it.
Yes.
So
Arena.
Yeah, we love being a part of it. But there's a lot of good people. I mean, you think about like
Absolutely.
obviously the attorney for the estate planning side, and then and some organizational stuff. But there's a lot of other people, and it's impressive to me that either the certification has given you these ideas, or just you thinking outside the box of who can really impact this community. I definitely want to talk about that. But let's just talk about what are your seminars and what does your group look like when it comes to how you help these people.
Well, you know, we started the seminars. I think today I had a seminar this morning, and it was number 40.
Wow.
You know,
Wow.
now that counts the Truth About Senior Living, truthaboutseniorliving.com, shout out. It includes those seminars. I also give seminars at Roquette Lodge. So Roquette Lodge is a HUD community in our area. They are a subsidized based housing for seniors, which is a great affordable option for seniors, and there's over 400 apartments available to independent living apartments.
Nice.
You know, so anyway, the seminars are, you know, education based, and I have sponsors that help with every single one. Thank you, Arena. And so what's nice is to have these sponsors available at every seminar. So the people who come, all the retirees can get to know, like, and trust these people, right? And it's so funny because when we first talked about becoming a part of the seminars, I was like, I don't know. You got that long hair. John's got that long hair. I don't know how my people are going to take it, right? Well, guess what? They were the biggest hit of every seminar. And you said, they're going to love us. And I'm thinking, I hope so. Because, it's scary who you pick and choose to be your sponsors, right? Yeah. Because it kind of makes and breaks who you are. So I like to vet, and I loved you guys. I knew y'all were just true givers from the heart. And I want an education-based sponsor, right? And that's you guys, right? So also, Christwood's a sponsor. I have Right at Home healthcare, in-home care, not in-home healthcare, in-home care. So it's non-medical. They're at every seminar. Grace Memorial Funeral Home. We've learned a lot from them as far as funeral planning and things like that. Who else do we have? So Summerfield, senior living.
You had I know that in the past you've had a couple different contractors who were able to come in and help people with different things, setting your home up for as you get older for wheelchairs or whatever to help people in that way. You had the financial planners and the advisors who were there to kind of help them make sure that their affairs are in order so that whenever they do move into these facilities, if they need government aid, are they going to qualify? And do they have the resources to help support them during the independent phase and all that kind of stuff?
Right. How are we going to pay for senior living? That's the biggest question. Do we have enough money? As we age to make it. And that's the scary thing on all of it, right?
And then I think you even had somebody who was like the truth about driving after a certain age.
Right.
Which, all these things, like what you're doing is adding value to that community to the point that they think of you whenever they want to sell their house, but it's because you've given and given and given and given.
You're the resource.
Yeah. So there's a reciprocity there, right? It's kind of like B&I givers gain, right? So that's super important. And I get them. A lot of them wanting to tour the senior communities and then let me give them an evaluation on their home. And I just love it. I really do.
Yeah, I think it's great.
I love that they come there for resources, and I have so many repeat people over and over. And now I give them binders, so they love their binders, and they have their binders at home all the time, and they can add to it from every seminar. So they love that idea. It was great.
That's great.
That's good. I think you're a perfect case study for what Jared and I preach to so many clients of. When you define who your target ideal client is, you can then add the most value possible because you learn every challenge and you can forecast all of their challenges.
Right.
And when you add that level of value, it creates a loyal relationship that you can't pay for.
Truly.
Whether it's social media, whether it's, print advertisements, a billboard, you can't buy that level of commitment and trust that reciprocity of resources provides.
Right. And then not only that, so you have all the people that come on the panel. Today I had a councilman, an author, a deacon. I had Audrey from Arena was on talking about estate plan. And so every seminar.
Everybody likes a prego, so I'm sure that went over well. Yeah.
And she's beautiful. And so, so I get to meet all these people from all the different walks of life, all the different careers, and they all provide a service and bring knowledge. I had Clico there to talk about. So even though I'm a real estate agent, we talk a lot about aging in place because that's the buzzword, right? Everybody wants to age in place until they can't.
And and some people may listen to this and say, well, why are you limiting yourself to just that community? But you're really not. Every single one of those people that you're talking to that are moving into these communities and now you're helping them, they have children, they have families they're going to see how well you took care of them, and they're going to find value in that too. And you're a real estate agent, right? You can offer the same service to everybody, ultimately buying and selling homes. Right. But that's just who you focus on marketing to. And then from there, your message is heard by people who may not be in that community, but they're going to remember who you are because of the value that you're bringing to them.
I got called from 4 different lenders in the last 2 weeks because of their aging parents.
There you go.
So people are listening. They may never hit like. They may never comment, but I know they hear it.
And that's so.
Jason and I talk about that all the time. My husband does running videos, and we'll be out in the community, and the number of people you've seen him, a number of people that stop him are just like, "Thank you," and keep doing it. He's like, "I've never seen them engage ever." We're going on 8 years, but that's not the environment that we're in anymore. Everybody wants to see the likes, they want the validation, and that's not how social media operates anymore. So it's like everybody's just got to get with the times that. it's there. And as long as the business is coming in, you're getting that return on your investment.
Absolutely.
And you have to truly enjoy what you're doing, because if you don't, and you're just looking for the gratification or the satisfaction of seeing it, you're not going to be able to do it.
You're not going to be satisfied.
You're not. You're going to get burned out. But if you do it for the
Fleeting.
reason of just adding value and connecting with people and trying to give more than you're receiving, it allows you to sustain it long term.
And it's a long term deal, right? I remember when I first started, I think I was on my 4th seminar, and someone told someone, but she's not getting any business. And you can't meet somebody 4 times and expect them to sell your house,
Especially on that demographic.
right?
Yeah.
People that aren't moving yet, right? So it's almost like the seminars, I think, give people the permission to make the move.
Mm-hmm.
They give them permission to know this is okay. You know, you're not giving up all your memories if you move out of there. You know, even though your daughter says, "Don't move out of my house. I grew up there." You know, because we have kids that say this to parents who live in a 2-story, 2,700 square foot house.
Mm-hmm. 2 people. The parents, the only two
Sometimes
live
a single woman.
Yes, yeah.
You know, so they're living in this large house, and the daughter doesn't want them to sell them, but the daughter's cleaning her own house, not this one.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's a lot. I mean,
So I can be engaged to go slap a daughter. It could be like a nice service that I provide.
Absolutely.